This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 493 of the Stable Scoop Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Our sponsors this week are Purina Mills, Horse Lovers, and Epona Products. This week's Rest of the Scoop is Literacy in Their Packs by Biz Stam. And we speak with Chrissy Joy and Beasley, the 2018 Stunt Dog Champion. Listen in. Well, this is Glenn the Geek, and welcome back to the Stable Scoop Show on the Horse Radio Network, the Horse Radio Network's flagship show and one of the horse world's oldest running podcasts. Well, we want to thank everybody who tuned in over the weekend for our Road to the Horse coverage, which is why this episode is a tiny bit late. It was terrific coverage. Coach Jen of the Horse Tip Daily Show and Tara Carter of our Western episode and Horses in the Morning did a terrific job. They spoke for 6.5 hours straight doing the coverage of the finals on Sunday. If you missed all of that, go to Horses in the Morning podcast feed and you'll find all the episodes there. You can take a listen. It was an exciting competition. Today, though, we have for you a terrific story written by Biz Stam, another one of her great stories in the Rest of the Scoop. And, you know, this one was very interesting for me because I do love history, and I didn't know anything about this. So it was a very interesting story you're going to hear. And then we talked to one of our good friends. She's been on the show before. Horse trainer turned dog trainer, becoming quite popular in the dog training and TV world. And she just won the 2018 Stunt Dog Championship at Purina Farms. We're going to speak with Chrissy Joy. We tried to speak with Beasley, but he didn't have much to say. So we'll be doing that right now after this word from our title sponsor, Purina. Did you know how to tell if your horse is a senior? If you guessed age, you'd be wrong, because not all horses age at the same rate. So how do you know your horse has entered their golden years? Well, you might notice gray or white hair around the eyes and muzzle, weight loss, low energy, decline in dental condition, or a choppier gait due to aches and pains. If any of these describe your horse, he or she might be a senior, and it might be a good time to start him or her on Purina Equine Senior, or Equine Senior Active Horse Feed. They both have Active Age, a proprietary prebiotic proven through years of research to support a senior horse's aging immune system. With Purina Equine Senior, greatness never ages. To learn more, visit purinamills.com/activeage. That's purinamills.com/activeage. Literacy in Their Packs by Biz Stam. The Great Depression hit the United States like a sucker punch. Black Tuesday, October 29th, was the day the stock markets crashed. It was an unexpected blow, leaving no time to brace for the enormous impact to come. That sudden blow triggered a cascade of events that caused the gross domestic product to drop by 15%. Seemingly overnight, millions went from comfortable to destitute, trading grand hopes and dreams for the mere chance of survival. While the entire world suffered immensely during this time of declining prosperity, the rural Appalachian region of eastern Kentucky was particularly hard hit. Coal country. The rocky terrain and long distance from major cities left the residents of these mountain towns cut off from society at large. Their school systems were underfunded, and the lack of libraries left books far out of reach for most. The traveling libraries that traversed the rest of the state couldn't make it through the rugged terrain. As a result, 31% of the population in eastern Kentucky couldn't read. During this period of economic hardship, the promise of coal-powered industrial jobs providing a path to prosperity was fading in the Depression-era economy, and the poor soil quality on the rocky hillsides made farming impossible. The residents of these isolated mountain towns slowly started to realize that education was the key to escaping poverty in this changing world, but it was hard to become educated without books. In 1933, new legislation was proposed by Franklin D. Roosevelt and Congress. This legislation would focus on the 3 R's: relief for the poor, recovery for the economy, and reform of the financial institutions. This piece of legislation was called the New Deal. The New Deal included many public works programs that provided jobs and income to the unemployed, and it was one of these programs that was finally able to bring books to eastern Kentucky. They called them book women, or book ladies. But to the residents of those rural coal mining towns, they might as well have been angels. Young women carrying bags of reading material would arrive with a new book, a kind word, and a few invaluable moments of companionship to these isolated households. While initially the townspeople were suspicious of the women bringing strange literature to their homes, they eventually came to eagerly await their arrival. Makeshift libraries were established in donated building space at the base of the foothills. The libraries would gather any and all donated reading material they could get their hands on, from textbooks to tattered magazines to newspaper clippings, recipe cards. They were all items to be added to the library inventory. The librarians were loaded up with a pack full of miscellaneous reading materials and sent up the mountains. Adventure books, mysteries, and westerns were some of the most popular items carried by the bookwomen. Illustrated children's books were highly sought after as well. Over time, demand for new reading material grew. Eventually, they could no longer sustain the program on donated material alone. Local parent-teacher organizations and Boy Scout troops raised money by encouraging residents to donate a penny apiece. With the increased funding, they were able to supply 30 of the small foothill libraries that serviced over 100,000 residents. So how did these young women traverse the rocky hillsides of coal country when no one else could? Their official title was pack horse librarians. While many of the Appalachian towns were inaccessible by motorized wheels of an automobile, it turned out that 4 sure-footed hooves, piloted by a determined woman, could traverse this treacherous terrain. The book ladies, atop the backs of horses or mules, would make their way into the mountains, carrying the key to literacy in their packs. These were not leisurely trail rides. The librarians rode 100 to 120 miles per week, often through incredibly harsh conditions, over rocky embankments, through icy creeks, and in weather so cold their feet would frequently freeze to the stirrups. Most of the librarians rode their own horses, donating the beasts of burden to lighten the load of a struggling nation. The pack horse library service ended in the early 1940s when funding for the program dried up. But the legend of the pack horse librarians lives on to this day. It is inevitable in life that obstacles will arise. But stories like that of the Appalachian book ladies remind us that destinations that can seem inaccessible can sometimes be reached on the back of a horse. Literacy in Their Packs was written by Biz Stam, who is a writer for Horse Nation. You can find more of her articles over at horsenation.com. Well, I have a very special guest for you today, one of Jennifer and I's good friends. Her name is Chrissy Joy. She was on the show October 29th of 2017, episode 479, talking about how she went from horse trainer to dog trainer and is now doing TV and commercials and films and has this terrific rescue dog named Beasley. Well, she just won with Beasley the 2018 Stunt Dog Championship, and we had to talk to her and find out how all that went down. And this is Chrissy Joy. Hi, Chrissy Joy. Thank you so much for coming back on the show with us.
Hi, Glenn. How are you?
Good, but you're much better because you and Beasley are now the National Stunt Dog Champions of the whole United States. How cool is that?
That's right. We didn't expect to go that far, but we're so excited and grateful. It was quite the experience. We've been practicing since probably around September.
Well, you got to go out to one of our sponsors' farms, and that's Purina Farms, which is a beautiful place to begin with. And that's in Missouri, isn't it?
It is. It's in Gray Summit, Missouri. That facility is just unbelievably gorgeous. It's could have been better for the event there.
Well, tell us about, what do you do? And this was different because I watched the video twice now. So this is a different kind of competition. It's almost like a kicked up freestyle. And, but it actually was kind of like storytelling too. So tell us what happens in a stunt dog championship like this.
Absolutely. So we do trick training. So dogs learn tricks. And so we really enjoy that way of training our dogs and having people just kind of get out there with their animals, their dogs, and teaching them different kind of tricks. However, Stunt dog is something new all on its own. And it's not just about can you do tricks with your dog, it's can you perform in front of a live audience. So your showmanship counts, your technical difficulty counts, the props you use. Do you use the entire stage? Does it have a good message? All of this is judged.
Yeah, because you're
categories
talking during the whole thing. You were talking, which is unusual. That's
Right.
something you don't see very often. You're actually
You don't
telling a
usually
story.
see that. I am, and not everybody has to do that. Some people didn't have a story at all. But you have to, when you get there, you have to compete through 4 different levels before you can even do a championship skit like that. So first you have to pass those levels. If you pass those, then you can do your champion skit. And so we had to work our way up for the couple days that we were there.
Is that like the compulsories in skating? You have to do the compulsory things to get to the freestyle then at the end?
I would say that's probably very similar, working away from novice level to something called professional level. So there's the easy to the more difficult. And then your champion skit, you do in front of us that are qualified. And then you hopefully qualify to be a part of the 6 finalists. And if you are, then you compete for the very top crown another whole other day dedicated just to the finalists. So that was pretty exciting.
Yes, it was. So how long did it take you to... The skit's very long, too, by the way. The final skit is...
Yeah.
It lasts, 5? It had to be more than 5 minutes.
So the rule is it has to be between 4 and 7 minutes. So you cannot go over 7 minutes. Mine ran right around 6:15, I think, which was actually, I was running into about 6 minutes and 30 seconds, which made me nervous because if you mess up and you need more time, you don't have a whole lot of buffer room. Mm-hmm. So some people were closer to 4 or 5 minutes. Mine was a little bit on the longer side just because I have a lot more elements that I had. And then Beasley's not a super fast dog. So some of our stuff isn't going to be as whipper-snappy as you might see a Border Collie do it, which is fine. Everyone does their own skits differently. Ours just tends to be a little bit more on the longer side there. But it's 4 to 7 minutes. You can use music. There are certain things you can and can't do, certain things you have to do in every skit as far as even passing. You have to do a certain number of elements to even pass. And if you drop a treat, you're disqualified. So
really?
There are some kind of the ground, bye-bye, you're disqualified. So wow. there are actually some really strict rules you have to be aware of when you're in the ring. That, if you're not used to it, it could take some practice to kind of be sure that you're all set.
Well, tell us about Beasley. For those that didn't hear you on the show before, as I mentioned, Chrissy Joy was on with us last year, October 29th, episode 479, if you want to go back and take a listen to it. But tell those that didn't hear the story of Beasley, where did he come from?
Okay, so Beasley actually is one of 14 puppies from a rescue. He's 3 now. I adopted him when he was probably 10 weeks old, so just a mixed breed rescue. But I got him during a time when I really needed a dog back in my life. I just got out of a job. I didn't really know which direction I was going into. And actually, brought on a little bit of, I'll admit, depression. I've also suffered from anxiety in the past. So I think my life was just calling to have a dog in it. And Beasley came in my life. And I hadn't done a whole lot of dog training other than just kind of stuff I enjoyed as a little girl. Of course, my background was horses. So I just was doing more horse training. Beasley came in my life and kind of sparked that ignition for loving to train dogs. I got into it at a couple local classes and it kind of just grew from there. And he's wicked smart. And we kind of just started taking off from that point on. And now he's 3, loves trick training. We love to hike. We love outdoor stuff as well. But I think his favorite avenue is agility and tricks for sure.
Well, I think his mom's wicked smart too, by the way.
No, thank you.
So
we all have our off days.
From the time you started training him to doing tricks with him when you got him to the time you won was how long?
So the time I started training him is about 10 weeks to we started doing, so probably altogether I have consistently worked him for, I would say, about 3 years now.
3 years, okay.
3 years. We went to a workshop, which then we learned about this trick dog competition in September. When we left in September, when I say we, I'm talking about BFF Pet Services. That's the facility I work with in Maryland. we decided we're going to go to Tridex, which is the national stunt dog competition in at Purina Farms. So we started putting skits together in September with hopes that we would get to that level, and we had no idea we would. And then we just kind of started building a skit and choreographing and working on props. I mean, I worked on props for hours, just getting my props put together.
You had a lot of props. There was a lot of props.
Yeah, a lot. Like a flag that actually, the flag actually rises. And, if you guys want to see it, feel free to go online. It's online in a few different areas.
And we'll share it too.
I'll give you that.
We'll share it.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a link too.
Yeah.
But some of the props are moving and they're mobile, and there's a barrel that rolls across the floor and a kitchen, refrigerator that opens and closes. So there's a lot of moving pieces. You have to be sure that it works and it's fluid and functional. And that took quite a few months to make sure the dogs were all affiliated and comfortable with it too.
Well, and for those that don't know, Chrissy, like myself, was an actor. And that comes across the showmanship that you showed in that. I just smiled because it's the Chrissy I know as the performer. So that really came across there. It came across that you really have showmanship skills. And even in the story you wrote and the story you told and the way you delivered it, it was the spokesmodel coming to life.
Right. It was, I miss acting. I used to do it way more than now. But I also love working with animals. It's just two worlds I kind of like to keep my feet wet in. And I was so lucky. This is it's not something that may be my thing forever, but it is certainly something that I'm going to enjoy, is maybe doing some live stage performances. I found a lot of pleasure out of that. It was really fun to get the audience engaged, to see their reactions, to have some comedy involved, with a strong message behind. My performance was focused on people who may feel depression or feel bullying or feel different, that your dog loves you unconditionally. Dogs really do have the power to heal. I wanted to really drive that message home, which I think is valuable to not only adults but children as well, especially children in those years, that formative years of their life. So I wanted to really drive that message home, and make it something more special than just a funny live stage skit performance for the audience. I think a lot of people appreciated that too.
I think the judges appreciated that. That came across.
Yeah. Yeah, and I dedicated it to my cousin, who unfortunately passed away this year. He was 16, battled cancer since he was so young. I think he was 8 years old. Fantastic mind and soul on that kid. We miss him very much, but not only did he love his dog and love people around him, but he always wanted to live life to the fullest. And I think it was meant to be, to dedicate this skit to him. And I swear he was there, because the cards all just fell along right. And I had a lot of confidence going in. So I really feel that everything just worked. Like there was a plan and everything worked out really well.
Well, and with a good plan comes a lot of work behind the scenes and a lot of time. And you put in the work and time to make it happen. And then Beasley is just an incredible dog. I mean, he's just smart as a whip, and you can tell Beasley's love for you. That came across so well. He is so in tune with you and knows exactly what you want. And that was evident too. And you don't get that with just every dog. He's kind of a special dog.
He really is. And, I have to say, before I went in, I started to get the whole sweaty palms and anxiety, because there's anxiety, you definitely know the highs and lows of it. There's a difference between anxiety and having just, a little bit of nerves. But he noticed the sweaty palms, the jittering foot that wouldn't sit still. And I swear, he was locked on me. Like, he refused to get away from my side. He kept putting his head in my lap. He kept pushing my hands. Like, he knew something was up. And I think when I took him in the ring, he recognized his props and he recognized what we were about to work on. I swear, he was like, I got you, Mom. I got this. And he nailed everything. I mean, if you watch it closely, he even anticipated stuff. So while I'm talking, he grabbed the tissue before I even asked him to go get it.
That.
He knew he knew what was coming up next. And he was like, got it. And he was so accurate. I mean, I couldn't have asked for more. I ended up actually breaking down in tears as we stepped out, just because he had nailed everything. I don't even care if we were disqualified for something. He was on the ball for every move. So I couldn't have asked more from him, and all of our practicing really paid off.
It really did. It did come across. Now, when you do a test like this, is it like a dressage test where you get the judges' comments after where they say, horrible stop, horse ran out of the ring, things like that. Do you get comments like that?
We do. We get constructive criticism. I didn't hear so when we do the foundation levels, it's really nice because the judges will step in and say, good job, but you scored a little low here. And they'll break it down and tell you why. And it is like a dressage test. I mean, the foundation levels are laid out to you from A to Z. You'll see a lot of people, how you walk the floor to remember your dressage test. People are walking the floor just to remember how to get through these foundation levels with their dog. It's everything from distance work, doing tricks at a distance. Your dog has to go to a specific mark. Your dog has to do certain things on a pedestal. There has to be hoop interactions where you actually have a hoop and your dog has to do certain things with an actual hoop to perform some tricks. So that's why you saw the hoop in my skit, because that was one of the things we had to include in the champion skit. So there is a lot of planning by each individual person to make sure they can nail what they need to do to get through each level with hopes of getting up to champion. There were like about 30 people qualified to be champion. So there was a really heavy load of awesome skits that came out. Everyone brought something different to the table, which was neat to see too. You get a lot of ideas, different props that were utilized and created, which is kind of neat to see everyone's creativity come out. And in the end, we all supported each other. That's what I liked about the event. Everyone was there to help build each other up. It wasn't about tearing each other down or creating different sides. Everyone was really supportive, and I appreciated that.
Well, good job. Jennifer and I are so proud of you. We really are. We've been proud of you forever, but we're so proud of you and Beasley. And people can follow Beasley because he has his own page, doesn't he?
Yes. Good Beasley is his Facebook page. Will actually be on set next week for Fox 5 News. So they might air that in other areas as well. And I think we have another film crew coming out next week to do a couple interviews over at our facility that will probably be sharing that video too. And don't forget, there's the Road to Tridex videos that we got out to Tridex and making all these fun videos of us preparing, and they're pretty funny.
I watched
so
some of them of you guys in the motorhome on your 20-some-hour journey.
Yes. And it's very comical, very lighthearted, and we had some really fun time making those as well. And it was 20 hours straight both ways in an RV, 7 people and 3 dogs. So you can only imagine how crammed we were. But we actually all did very well.
Did you have a trailer to haul all the props?
We did buy a trailer to haul the props, which is so funny that we actually did that, but we did. And thank goodness, because there was not enough room for those props under the RV. When we got there at like 5 a.m. and we got a second RV delivered, but we got there and found out we had no water. So here we are expecting to have full hookup, and it's freezing at 5 a.m. and we have no water. So we ended up having to use a bathhouse while we stayed there. And it changed the way our cooking went for the next couple of nights. But honestly, we all did great. We were so unsure how it would work out, but it was such a fun adventure for us. And I think we all kind of grew together more after it.
Well, congratulations, girl. We're very proud.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I'm so happy to be back on the show. I miss you guys a lot. And we'll see what this brings this year. We have a lot of fun things coming up, so I'll have to keep you posted. And
one other place I didn't want to forget to say this. You have seen Beasley for sure on a commercial, haven't they, recently?
That's right. Yeah, the Chewy.com commercial. If you've seen the blue Chewy commercial of this adorable dog, his name is Beasley.
Yeah, that's Beasley.
That would be Beasley. It's a really fun commercial. It's been airing internationally, and he was a very good boy. And we have a couple more projects coming out that includes being on television and commercials.
I bet you that commercial did get him some press, didn't it?
I did not realize. I thought it was, when I got there, I thought I was shooting something for a website. I had no idea it was this enormous internationally sponsored commercial. Holy cow. And I also just wanted to say a quick thank you. Now that I have you on here, we have some great sponsors, and I have to tell you guys, Back on Track is one of our sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to give them a shout out because a lot of people don't realize that they also have dog gear, not just for horses. And Beasley really, really needed that gear and did so well after wearing it. He actually had a leg injury. that I didn't really publicize, but he did. And that Back on Track year, I swear, made the world of a difference to him. And we also have Kong and Easy Dog as well. And they're fantastic. We just are so proud to have them on our side and supporting us as we do all of our performances and stuff.
Well, none of us could do any of this without sponsors. And Back on Track, we've worked with for years. So, we don't talk about it much. They have people and, animal products, dog products. So we don't talk about that much. But they probably sell more of those than they do horse products, actually.
Yeah, I think it's new. So I think they want to start, telling the public, hey, listen, we have more dog products. And it's great. They fit great. They do the same kind of technology they do for the horses. And it makes a difference. Dogs can be just as athlete as a horse can in a whole different realm. So it's important to take care of them. If you expect a lot from your animal, you gotta treat them right too.
Well, thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Glenn. Thank you.
Epona takes great pleasure in bringing you products that are healthy, sustainable, and a welcome addition to the provisions of your barn. The Woodpecker Hoof Pick, for example. We ride through forests and across the green, through golden fields and crossings on rock and stream. My horse on good foot is paramount to me. Epona's Woodpecker Hoof Pick is precise, you see. It's earthy and warm and so right in the hand, it whittles away rock, hard pack, and sand.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks again to Biz Stam for writing this week's story. We really appreciate that. If you would think you would like to write a story in the style that we do, kind of the rest of the story style, just drop me an email at glenn@horseradionetwork.com, and we can talk about it. It even pays a little bit if you want to help out there. And we also have 17 other shows on the Horse Radio Network. Go to horseradionetwork.com. You can see them all, or download our app, iOS or Android. It's free, and it's easy to use. Thank you for listening, and happy scooping, everybody!